Man, like a really weird side transition here. I got really into the channel Vox recently. They do some like really cool editorials and think piece videos, and I love their music stuff where they really analyze, that was a terrible run by the way, analyze music. And one of the videos I found fascinating was the rise of smooth jazz. And that whole story is fascinating, of just this idea of kind of jazz selling out. And it started in the 70s where there were these jazz artists that started doing pop covers, and the jazz community hated it. They were like, oh, this is not real music, you're selling out. And a couple of artists started going that way. And at the time, like, the radio industry noticed that people were starting to listen to this music, but they didn't have a category for it. They didn't have a name for it. And at a certain point, someone just came up with the term smooth jazz to describe this sort of, like, little more mainstream approach to jazz music. And the genre took off. And yeah, Kenny G was at the forefront of that. But yeah, just the fact that, like, hey, one, someone tried the music, but it really took off because now we have a name for it, and radio stations can start branding around this genre of music, which then got really popular in, like, offices and stores that would just play it as background music. And then towards the 2000s, the genre kind of faded into obscurity, and the reasons for it are fascinating. And and some say it has absolutely nothing to do with the popularity of the music itself. In the early 2000s, or like before the 2000s, the way that radio ratings were calculated is that they would get people to fill out a diary, and in that diary you would say what radio stations you were listening to at what time. And so yeah, you'd carry a book around and you'd write down what you were listening to. And in the 2000s, they changed the technology so that it was this sort of like this, you were wearing a device that looked like a pager or a beeper. I'm not sure for the kids watching if you guys are familiar with what that is. You would wear this device, you would clip onto like your belt, and that would like listen to the world around you and pick up what radio stations you were listening to. The problem was the devices were not tuned well to pick up jazz music, and so the ratings were dropping because it couldn't track that music properly. And apparently the issue either wasn't addressed at all or was addressed too late. By the time like that became recognized as an official problem, a lot of smooth jazz radio stations like went out of business. And so that's a really like, I'd never even thought about a genre kind of dying off that way. And it's kind of nuts when you think about it.